Honesty is important. Being able to say the things that are true is really what's going to determine whether people believe you in the future for other things that you say. So it's very important that people are very consistent. If somebody is prone to lying, where they maybe lie one time about something, then it's not a huge stretch to say that they would lie about many other things. So we have to look at this situation very carefully. And this is the situation with Candace Owens, specifically following the CNN interview that I showed just a few days ago. Now, she just did the interview, and it was all based off of the clips that the CNN reporter actually uploaded to Twitter. But Candace Owens, after the fact, went to Twitter and said, here's this other clip of what actually, or at least another part of it that made Candace Owens look a little bit better. But she said in this tweet, here's another clip from the CNN interview where she asked me what I mean when I say they, and this is over the whole Jew thing, of course, but she's saying, and the part that really we need to highlight here is this was only a couple of days after Charlie was murdered. Now, that is really what she's trying to emphasize on this, is that, hey, this was just a couple of days after the fact. I really wasn't in the mood for her. That's why I didn't know all the answers, because the clip that I shared and that she is referring to it didn't make her look very good, to say the very least. And it's all because of the fact that she didn't have any evidence. And what she's trying to say, I think, in this tweet is to try and act like, well, it was so early after his death that there's no way I would have been able to know fully really what happened. We were all trying to figure out things and try to figure out what was going on. Now, we already know that this is a bit of a lie as well, because of the fact that even on her own show, she said that she didn't start talking about Charlie Kirk till a few weeks after his passing. But then we also had the videos right there of her putting up shows literally within just a few days after him passing. So big difference there. So before we jump further into this topic, just a reminder to like this video and to subscribe to the channel as well for more videos like this. So after she made that initial tweet, she then tweeted later referring to her trending on Twitter, saying that the CNN interview was actually recorded on September 26th, which is already an inconsistency, because Charlie Kirk died on the 10th. So it wouldn't have been possible for her to have also recorded this 2 days after. And then clearly here she's claiming that it was on the 26th now. So then after she got called out on it, she tweeted this out where she's talking about an email. She's showing the email that she had with CNN, which we will look at in a second. But she's saying my CNN interview was booked before Charlie Kirk died, and it was related to my book launch. We kept the interview, which took place about 20 days after he had passed, which corroborates the 26th date that she was talking about in her other tweet there. But she then said, and we told them in writing multiple times that I wanted no questions about Charlie. Despite this, CNN was CNN and violated our request and asked about him once the cameras were rolling. So she's trying to also kind of downplay or to put down CNN and say, well, we told them not to do this, but they decided to do it anyway. So let's take a look at the email that Candace Owens allegedly sent over to CNN. You see the LE or whatever her name is, the CNN reporter that was there. So she said, hope you're well. I have a few questions below. Can you confirm the time and location? So they kind of go through this, confirm that this will run after 11:15. So they're claiming the some date there, which is, Candace Owens' book release date. And then they said, and with this bold and underline, most importantly, Candace wants to refrain from discussing the passing of her friend, Charlie Kirk, at this time. If this changes, I will let you know. Additionally, given the events of last week, please let us know the following and, security protocol, whatever, and it kind of goes on from there. So this was the email that Candace Owens was putting out there to basically try and say that CNN did not obey her wishes in the interview, even though they had told them this. So this was also very quickly debunked by the CNN reporter, where they posted the rest of the email, the continuation of their conversation, which, as you see here, they said, yes, major themes were talked about initially, how Candace Owens' political work, all that stuff like that, kind of goes on. But then the part that we're looking for here is it saying, you mentioned she didn't feel up to talking about Charlie Kirk. So they are obviously responding to the email where she said that, she doesn't want to talk about it. And it's saying, is that still the case? They're asking. And they said, I asked because she's been driving a lot of the conversation around the investigation of a shooting. In other words, what they're doing is pointing out, hey, why are you not wanting to talk about him in this interview when she's been talking about him nonstop, which also in the email confirms that they knew that she was already talking about the situation. By the way, this is on September 22nd that these emails are taking place. Once again, showing even more evidence that Candace lied when she was mentioning that she didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk until, a few weeks after the fact, when she was talking about him 9 days after the fact. So they're even bringing up this hypocrisy right here. But it says, if she does not want to discuss them, I certainly be interested in talking about that. It's a big part of her background, and it's also related to some of what divides within MAGA. So this was the interview specifically from this person, from the reporter here that ran the CNN interview. And then the response from Candace's representative says, thank you. So long as Charlie is discussed in a tasteful way, that's fine. I understand you have to ask. I would just keep it to 1 or 2 questions about his passing. She's still mourning, so it's a sensitive topic, which is ridiculous because Candace Owens she's clearly not mourning. You can't be mourning, but yet talking about this guy ad nauseum, like constantly, every video, every week. That was what was happening every single day, was her talking about this entire situation. So to act like she couldn't do an interview talking about him is absolutely ridiculous, first of all. So this is what is happening here, and this has been entirely debunked. Now, as far as the recording of this video taking place, there's been no response to Candace about this whatsoever because she got caught. And that's the problem here, is that every single time this is happening, the reason why this is important, this may seem like not that big of a deal. Okay, I mean, some dates got mixed up or something, and we can use that as an out, whatever. The reason why this matters is because of the fact that if she's willing to manipulate messages on an email and not show the full conversation. See, because remember, all of these text messages she's been sharing have one thing in common. She's sharing the text messages of somebody that can't really corroborate them, at least isn't willing to. Now, maybe Erica, I'm sure Erica Kirk probably has some information or has access to Charlie Kirk's phone and text messages and all of that. But Erica Kirk's playing the high road. She's being the only mature adult in this entire situation because she's not complying. She's not trying to spawn this massive controversy about it. So there's no real way for Charlie Kirk to come out and say, that's not what I said, or I said this, or whatever, because he's dead. And yet, in this situation, she tried the same thing, sharing a manipulated section of an email from with her representative, and clearly already gets debunked because this person is actually able to show the rest of the email. So it's just crazy that this is happening. This is, if she's willing to doctor this stuff and not show us the full conversation to try and prove her point, what else is she willing to lie about? We've heard so many inconsistencies about when she started uploading videos about Charlie Kirk and her lying about this. So that's the problem here. But ultimately, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. This whole situation is very crazy, but it's important that people understand that when people lie like this and try to act like they're the better ones in the situation, when in the reality of everything, they're only showing you what they want you to see. When you're dealing with somebody that is presenting a lot of heinous accusations with no evidence, it matters that even the things that they're showing are actually true and credible. And in this situation, it's not. And I am skeptical of all of the things that she would be putting out, and we should be skeptical of it. And it's funny to me that a lot of people are, on the believe Candace Owens or whatever she says, the amount of, maybe I think the list is like 15 different things now that are people that are responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk at this point. It's just a growing list. But people are trying to spin this as, I'm skeptical of what the government puts out. Sure, that's fine. But why are you not also skeptical of what Candace Owens puts out? It's not to say that one thing is true and one thing is not. It's just to say, if you're going to be skeptical, why not treat it all the same way? You're taking something that is presented to you by a person that is clearly manipulating emails and doctoring things like this in this situation, and who knows what's going on with the text messages. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. With that being said, though, I thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you on the next one.